Do you have any theories about this stone?
I think that design represents a dog, a Mexican dog.
So, this is the sacred Chihuahua stone? Sheesh. Take a look at this.
Mon Dieu! Where did you get that kind of money?
It's not mine. I found that statement at Oubier's house. Take a look at this.
An eclipse of the sun. Why the sudden interest in astronomy?
I found the cutting in Oubier's house.
Apparently, it's only visible from Central America.
Take a look at this, Nico.
That's disgusting, Georges. Why are you carrying it around with you?
I don't know. I just can't seem to part with it. Guess what this is? Go on, guess.
It's wrought iron, probably from a chimney stack on an old stove.
Well, I suppose it could be. How did she know that?
My grandfather used to work in a foundry.
Would you like a biscuit?
Gourmet dog? Have you been eating those things, Georges?
Sure, they're great. That man we saw talking to the general was Oubier. Didn't you recognize him?
I never met him, remember? The guy I called in Paris claimed to be Oubier, but he sounded nothing like the man in the police station. Maybe the professor really is innocent.
Nah, it's too much of a coincidence that he's here in Quaramonte. Labano tells me he's been seeing a lot of you.
We meet sometimes for lunch, a drink. After you'd gone back to the States, I was pretty lonely, you know.
Lonely? You must have been desperate. Couldn't you just visit the zoo or something?
Why did you show him the stone?
I thought maybe he might know something about it.
Well, he does now, for sure. He knows we have it.
You came on a little strong with the general.
I was merely flattering his ego, Georges. Every man has his Achilles heel.
Maybe, but that guy's weakness isn't in his foot. Did you notice that chart on the police station wall?
Yes, it looked like a map to me, but I couldn't make out the details.
Whatever it was, the general didn't want us to see it. Professor Oubier?
Yes? Who are you?
My name is Stobart, George Stobart. Take a look at this, Professor. What have you got to say about that?
Where did you get this?
Never mind that. How do you explain these withdrawals?
I left my financial affairs in the hands of my secretary.
Including the withdrawal of funds in cash from your personal account?
I trust Gwyneth implicitly.
And why Marseille? Why the very place my girlfriend was taken?
That's obvious, Stobart. We are both the victims of the same devious plot.
What plot?
I have no idea.
Do you know anything about this eclipse, Professor?
Of course. It's not the reason I'm here in Quaramonte, but I'm looking forward to seeing it all the same.
Do you see this label?
Yes. It refers to a company named Condor. What of it?
I traced that company here to Quaramonte. Do you know where I can find the offices of Condor Transglobal?
The company no longer exists. They went bankrupt recently.
I have proof that you are directly involved with Condor.
I used them as shippers to transport artifacts to a gallery in Paris. Beyond that, I have no connection with the company, which, as I said, no longer exists.
Can you identify this statue, Professor?
Oh, yes. Tezcatlipoca, the Lord of Darkness.
A Central American god, right?
A supreme deity. Tezcatlipoca means, literally, smoking mirror. There. You see the mirror shield in his left hand? Mayans believed he could look into the mirror and see into the hearts of men. He was the wind which came howling in the night in search of victims, and victims they gave him by the thousand.
Human sacrifices?
Men, women, children, animals, anything that bled. The steps of his temple ran red with the blood of sacrifices. The Mayans have a legend that says he'll return one day. I hope I'm not around to see it.
Can you tell me anything about this stone?
Where did you get that?
This is the stone my girlfriend called you about. The stone that nearly cost Nico her life.
I assure you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Would you like a biscuit?
No, thank you.
You should, they're good. I can't get enough of these things. Have you ever employed a Central American butler or servant?
I've never employed any kind of servant, monsieur.
What are you doing in Caramonte, Professor?
Seeking Mayan artifacts. Central American history has been my life's work.
What do you know about my girlfriend's abduction?
I don't know what you're talking about.
She was invited to your mansion in Paris.
Not by me, she wasn't. I haven't been home for nearly 7 months.
Tell me about your wife, Professor.
Please, I don't want to talk about her.
You shot her, didn't you?
No! I loved Carol. She meant the world to me.
Does the name Karzak mean anything to you?
Yes, I know him. In fact, if it wasn't for Karzak, I wouldn't be here.
What?
He's financing my expedition.
What's your interest in the eclipse, Professor?
Oh, it's purely a layman's curiosity. History's my subject, not astronomy. But I've been fascinated by the movements of the heavenly bodies since I was a child. I wouldn't miss a total eclipse for the world.
Does the eclipse have some special significance for you?
For me? No. For the ancient Mayans, it marked the end of the 5th age.
Perhaps we should be celebrating.
Ah, no. The end of each age heralds destruction on a global scale. The 5th is the final age, ending in the total destruction of the Earth.
Do you think the general was involved with Condor?
Hell no. And if he's a general, I'm a Buddhist. No, that fella's just a mouthpiece for the real power in Quaramonte.
So the general is nothing but a puppet?
He's like Pinocchio before he met the Blue Rinse Fairy. Strictly strings and wood.
Who's pulling the strings?
His mother. Better known as La Presidenta, the dictator.
I hear you drove all the way to Quaramonte. In a truck.
That's right. You would not believe the state of some of those roads. Makes me downright sad to think there's still some places you can't reach in an automobile. In this day and age, you'd think there'd be decent highways just about anywhere folk choose to go.
Did you know that the truck was full of explosives?
Whatever gave you that idea, as if I couldn't guess?
Your husband. He was exaggerating, wasn't he?
Sometimes I wonder how I'm gonna cope with Duane's over-fertile imagination.
Have you met the guy who calls himself the General?
No, I haven't. Is he a real general?
I guess so. He wears a lot of medals on his chest. The wrong side of his chest. At least for any army I'd ever seen. Catch you later, bro.